You tell yourself you forgot to call your mother back, just slipped your mind, busy day. But why that call and not others? Why did you remember to email your boss but not your mother? Why do you forget the dentist appointment but never your vacation? What decides what slips and what sticks? We say, I just forgot, like it's an explanation, but it's not. It's an excuse pretending to be one. The things you forget aren't random accidents. They're chosen. By you. Without you knowing. The reason has nothing to do with memory capacity. It's about what your unconscious wants to hide from you. We treat forgetting like mechanical failure. The explanation goes, memory is like a leaky bucket. Things just fall through. I forgot. It slipped my mind. I meant to, but we blame our brain like it's a hard drive with bad sectors. Random data loss. Nothing personal. Wrong. Watch what happens when we look closer. You forget your anniversary 3 years running, but you can recite every statistic from last night's game. You forget to pay that one bill, but payday never slips your mind. You lose the invitation to the event you were dreading. Consider one of Freud's patients, a man who forgot his wife's birthday 3 consecutive years, claimed he had terrible memory, couldn't hold on to dates, but ask him about his coin collection. He knew the year, mint mark and condition grade of every piece, flawless recall. Or this, you forget the names of people you find irritating, but your best friend's name, instant. You lose objects you don't want to deal with, that bill, that form, that book you promised to read, you arrive late, accidentally to obligations you resent. The forgetting is selective. Something is doing the selecting. But what? Freud noticed this with verbal slips too. A patient calls his wife by his mistress's name. Accident? No. Another patient, opening a meeting he dreads, says, I'm so glad to close this meeting. He meant open. Corrects. Himself immediately, everyone laughs. But the slip revealed the unconscious wish. The meeting hadn't started and he already wanted it over. A woman tells Freud she loves her husband when she means to say loathes. Catches herself, laughs, blames her tongue. I'm tongue-tied today. Freud's response, your tongue wasn't tied, it told the truth. For one moment, the sensor slipped, and what you actually think broke through. These aren't accidents. If they're not accidents, what are they? Or, better question, who's doing this? 2 systems operating simultaneously. What you think, your conscious mind. What you actually think, your unconscious mind. And here's the thing, they're in conflict. The unconscious contains wishes, desires, impulses you can't accept. I hate my father. I want to fail. I'm attracted to my colleague. Too threatening to admit. So a mechanism intervenes. Freud called it the censor. Think of it like a customs agent at a border. Every thought, trying to cross from unconscious to conscious, gets checked. Unacceptable ones get blocked. You can't think that. You're a good person. Good people don't think that. But, and this is crucial, the blocked thoughts don't disappear. They find other ways through, disguised ways. Dreams appear symbolically. Slips are momentary breaches. Forgetting is passive resistance. And sometimes when the conflict is severe, the body itself becomes the battlefield. One of Freud's patients, a young woman with a paralyzed hand. No physical cause. Doctors found nothing. Under analysis, a pattern emerged. She wanted to strike her father. The wish was so forbidden, so unacceptable to her conscious self that her hand paralyzed itself. Can't strike him if the hand doesn't work. The physical symptom was what Freud called a compromise formation. The unconscious wish couldn't be consciously acknowledged, so it got expressed through the body. The paralysis satisfied both sides. The wish to strike was symbolically enacted, the hand is frozen in conflict, and the conscious mind remained protected. She didn't actually hit anyone. Which means your accidents aren't accidental. They're negotiations between parts of yourself you don't know are negotiating. Let me prove it to you with one of Freud's own cases. A patient forgets her umbrella after a session, must return the next day to retrieve it. Freud asks, why this umbrella? Why today? She protests, pure accident, I forget things all the time. You've been here 6 sessions, Freud says. Never forgot before. What's different about today? Under questioning, the pattern emerges. Today's session had ended a difficult discussion about childhood trauma. She felt unfinished, anxious, unsettled. She wanted to come back sooner than next week, but consciously. I'm done. See you next week. So what happens? She forgets the umbrella, creates an objective reason to return tomorrow. The conscious mind accepts this, just ordinary. Forgetfulness. The unconscious gets exactly what it wants. No internal conflict, no guilt. This is the genius of the symptom. It satisfies the unconscious wish while maintaining a conscious alibi. You forget the umbrella, but you don't feel manipulative or anxious about it. You have a perfectly reasonable excuse. The lie works because you believe it completely. Freud documented hundreds of these cases in The Psychopathology of Everyday Life, published in 1901, a detailed catalogue of slips, forgetting, bungled actions, lost objects, all of them revealing hidden motives that the conscious mind refused to acknowledge. But wait, if I'm lying to myself, how do I not know it? How can you deceive yourself? Don't you need to know the truth in order to hide it? Here's what should collapse your reality. To lie, you need to know the truth. Otherwise, what are you hiding? But if you know the truth, how are you deceived? You can't unknow what you know, yet self-deception requires exactly deception. This, knowing and not knowing simultaneously. Freud's answer, the topographic model. The mind isn't unified, it's divided. There's a part that knows, the unconscious, a part that doesn't know, the conscious, and a barrier between them, repression. The unconscious knows you hate your job. The conscious mind can't admit it. Too threatening. What would that mean about your choices, your life, your identity? So what happens? You develop migraines every Sunday evening. Consciously, must be something I ate. Unconsciously, you're dreading Monday. The body expresses what the mind can't speak. The lie isn't you deceiving you. It's one part of you deceiving another part. You're not a unified self making coherent decisions. You're a battlefield. Actually, more like a negotiation table. Constant bargaining between what you want and what you can admit wanting. And we can prove this division exists. Every night you demonstrate it when you dream. Dreams prove the split is real, while sleeping, the censorship relaxes. Unconscious thoughts slip through, but still disguised, still coded. Freud developed a method for decoding them. Free association. The patient describes the dream, then says whatever comes to mind about each element. No filtering, no logic, no that's stupid or that's unrelated. Just follow the associations wherever they lead. Eventually, patterns emerge. Consider this case. A woman dreams of losing her purse at a crowded market. Freud asked her to free associate. Purse, what comes to mind? Money. Whose money? Her father controlled all the money. Market, what about that? Crowded, exposed, people watching and losing. What does that bring up? Freedom, relief. The deeper pattern emerges. She wants independence from her father's control, but she can't admit this consciously. Good daughters don't resent their fathers. So the dream disguises the wish as anxiety. Losing the purse appears as a bad thing, something to worry about. The conscious mind accepts this surface story. The unconscious expresses the wish underneath. Or take a common dream, teeth falling out. Surface interpretation, anxiety about aging, about loss of attractiveness. But Freud found, working with multiple cases, a recurring pattern. Often these dreams connected to castration anxiety, loss of power, sexual guilt. The teeth were a displaced symbol. The real anxiety couldn't appear directly, too threatening. So the unconscious creates a substitution. Dreams use three main mechanisms: displacement, shift emotion from real target to safe target; condensation, compress multiple meanings into single image; symbolism, convert abstract anxiety into concrete object, like visual puns. You see one thing, mean another. The censorship is still operating during sleep, just less effectively. Thoughts leak through in code. And you do this all day too, awake. You just don't notice. You call it reasoning. Waking life uses the same mechanisms, but you call them reasons. Example, you snap at your partner over something trivial. Real cause? Stress from work. Displaced anger at your boss. You can't express anger upward. The boss has power over you, so you redirect it downward. Your partner is safe, but you can't admit this. Too petty, too cowardly. So you generate a reason. They never listen. They're always leaving things out. You believe this reason completely. It feels true. Freud called this rationalization, creating an acceptable explanation for an unacceptable impulse. The explanation comes after the behavior but feels like it came before. You think, I yelled because they don't listen. Actually, I yelled because I'm angry at work and now I'm finding justification. More examples. You buy an expensive item you don't need. It's an investment. Really, it's status display. You skip the gym. Too busy. Really, you don't want to face the discomfort. You gossip about a colleague. I'm just concerned about them. Really. Jealousy. The conscious mind operates like a press secretary. It doesn't make the decisions, it just explains them afterward, makes them sound rational, moral, intentional. Consider another of Freud's patients. A woman who compulsively washed her hands dozens of times per day, raw skin. Consciously, she explained, I'm concerned about germs, hygiene. Under analysis, a different pattern emerged. She was trying to wash away guilt about sexual thoughts. The germs were symbolic. The washing was a ritual of purification. But she didn't know this. She genuinely, completely believed it was about hygiene, which raises the question, can you ever know your real motives? Psychoanalysis is Freud's method for uncovering them. Not advice-giving, not suggestion or persuasion. An archaeological dig through layers of defense. The patient lies on a couch, can't see the analyst. This reduces performance anxiety. You're not being watched, judged. Then, speak whatever comes to mind. Free. Association. No topic too trivial, too embarrassing. Don't censor yourself, just keep talking. Eventually, patterns emerge. The same themes circle back, the same resistances appear. The patient suddenly can't remember anything about childhood, or changes the subject when approaching a painful topic, or arrives late to sessions that discuss certain themes, or becomes hostile toward the analyst. These resistances reveal where the defenses are. What you resist returning to is what matters most. Freud observed, the defense protects the wound. Remove the defense too quickly, the patient gets worse. The symptom intensifies. Take the woman with the paralyzed arm. If you just tell her directly you want to hit your father, she'll reject it violently. The idea is too threatening. The paralysis might even spread. Instead, you let her discover it herself. You guide the associations toward the conflict, but she has to make the connection. And when she does, when she says aloud, oh my God, I do resent him. I've been angry at him for years. Something shifts. Saying it aloud breaks the repression. The arm regains function, not magic. The symptom was a compromise. Once the real conflict is acknowledged, consciously accepted, the compromise becomes unnecessary. Freud developed this method through trial and error. Early work with Joseph Breuer used hypnosis. They'd hypnotize patients, have them recall traumatic memories, and symptoms would temporarily disappear. But they always came back. Freud realized the patient must participate consciously. You can't bypass awareness. The work requires making the unconscious conscious, bringing hidden conflicts into the light where they can be examined, understood, integrated. But what exactly are these defenses? Freud catalogued them. Repression. Push unacceptable thought completely out of awareness. Denial. Refuse to acknowledge reality. He's not an alcoholic. Projection. Attribute your feeling to others. Everyone lies. Everyone cheats. Reaction formation. Express the opposite of what you feel. Excessive sweetness hiding hostility. Sublimation. Channel unacceptable impulse into acceptable activity. Aggression into competitive sports. Displacement. Redirect emotion to safer target. Mad at boss, kick the dog. Intellectualization. Analyze emotions rather than feel them. Interesting that I'm experiencing anxiety about this. We all use these mechanisms constantly. They're not pathological, they're adaptive. Life would be unbearable if you felt every raw impulse. If you consciously registered, I want to strangle this person, every time someone frustrated you. Defenses make civilization possible, but they come with a cost. You lose access to parts of yourself. Your desires become mysterious to you. Why am I so unhappy? You ask, while actively defending against the answer. Freud's essential insight. Suffering comes from internal conflict, not from the desire itself. Not from what you want, but from the war between desire and prohibition. When both the wish and the prohibition are strong, you're paralyzed. The symptom is that standoff made visible. So back to that phone call you forgot. Not memory failure, strategic forgetting. Some part of you didn't want to make that call. Maybe your mother is critical and every conversation leaves you feeling inadequate. Maybe the conversation drains you. Maybe you feel guilty around her for reasons you can't articulate. The real feeling, I don't want to call. But you can't admit that. What kind of child doesn't want to talk to their mother? What does that say about you? So the unconscious arranges the forgetting. You get to avoid the call without admitting you're avoiding it. Perfect solution. Except you've now lied to yourself and believed it. And when she asks why you didn't call, you'll say with complete sincerity, I completely forgot. I've been so busy. You believe this. Consciously, it's true. The lie is so deep you don't. Lie is. Even know you're lying. That's the discovery that collapses reality. You're not the master of your own mind. You're not even a reliable narrator of your own motives. Most of what you think you know about why you do things, the stories you tell yourself about your choices, your feelings, your relationships, is post hoc rationalization. Explanations constructed after the fact to make your behavior seem reasonable, moral, intentional. Freud's legacy isn't the specific theories. The Oedipus complex, penis envy, many of those have been revised or rejected by modern psychology. His real discovery, the unconscious, is real and active. You're doing things for reasons you don't have access to. Your explanations are stories, often false stories, but there's freedom in knowing this. Once you know you're lying to yourself, you can start asking, what am I hiding? What can't I admit? What would I have to face if I stopped defending? The next question, what would happen if you stopped lying? What truth would you have to face? That's a different exploration. I'll leave you something to think about.